surveillance against those departments. Because in this past world, Morgan, you wouldn't be able to identify energy solutions. It was split across like 20 departments. So people would need to add that up. So we basically ended up creating this offline list and then link the asset name and things like that. So I think I'm just trying to ground us on that this is our starting premise. Like finance is not supposed to hold information on assets. It needs to be owned by the business. And so that's why our proposal is more inclined on the same line, Morgan, that, you know, if platform is having this information on asset names, ID, and the department it corresponds to, like how can we use our existing process, bring it in MPP or Snowflake? I'm not sure which systems get used now, but basically use that to bring it into SAC.
Yeah, I think that's something that we would love to solve. And honestly, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, that's not what I'm doing. My previous understanding of this is when we spoke to Sahil and the SAP tech team about creating a more robust kind of data pipeline, API, I don't know what the right answers are because I'm not a technologist, but like doing that in an automated fashion like you're describing, maybe not changing where the data sits or like is owned, but at least have that live connection.
Right.
They were like, no, we're not doing that. We have too much in the backlog. Assets are not a priority. Sorry. Which is fair, given that there's a lot going on in the firm and there's a lot of priorities on their team. But that was the answer that we got at the time. And so if we have to wait 3 years to get on their list of capacity, right, that leaves us, in my view, with two options. Number one, keep everything exactly the same and deal with the pain of our current process. Or try to tweak the process so that we don't even need Sahil and team. And the best way to do that is to transition the ownership of asset IDs into SAP, in my view. Because it's easier to send data out of SAP than to try to put data in. So that's where I'm coming from on all this, but definitely Anshu would love your reaction.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sense. So just in terms of the specific point around the, like not the capacity bit, but just in terms of the automation part, linking systems and API, this one, Morgan, probably goes back a few months, right? And now that we have some linkage, I don't know what you call that text solution, whatever that exists, but we already have
so
information.
The way that works, and this is again where I actually love the page, Meghna, that you're sharing right now because it perfectly illustrates the problem. Mm-hmm. Anshu, you're exactly right that we have that data flow for the top row.
Right.
Because it's coming through product portal. And everything in there is at the product ID level. Yeah. But for all of the shit in the second row that isn't coming through product portal, that's where the gap and the pain point still exists.
Right.
Yeah. And product portal, in terms of data ownership and who owns what, we're never going to convince them to pass through asset IDs and cost centers that have no products. That's just not what they're going to be accepting of, right? Because it has nothing to do with their domain. And so that brings us right back to our current situation. Does that help?
Yeah, no, cool. That's fun. I mean, like I was coming at it from the same premise, like create dummy product ID or whatever, but then there's the same information between the two systems.
Yeah.
Who we need to convince for that, Morgan?
To have product portal make dummy product IDs?
Like, I don't know. Like that was just.
Okay. So we're not saying that. We're saying to have that pass through.
Yeah. No. Some way to have store the information around asset names with no product IDs.
Yeah.
And in Platform McKinsey, we don't have this information. What is in Platform McKinsey? You have an asset, What is the information which is there?
We have asset ID, and cost centers, but I'm not 100% sure that they are all cost centers that I see in CPM 360. In CPM 360, anyways, shows the department, not the cost center. So all I can do after this call is just verify whether that at least at the department level they are all there. But what I wanted to say actually about my product portal is that in the situation where you have a new product to register, you have a number of different cost centers to map it to, right? So, and this is something I'm not sure. About if that list includes all cost centers or only those cost centers that previously had a product ID mapped to. I would think that this list would include all, so that you are able to select whatever you.
Depends. You need to say there should be the relationship should be asset name, asset ID to department number, and then within this department all asset cost centers. So limited to the asset side.
Yes.
And if we have this bridge, so basically we would need asset name, asset ID, department number, and with this information we could map in SAC all the remaining cost centers, because the cost centers are very different depending on where the people sit, right?
Right.
So you could have only one cost center if everything is done in the US, or you could have multiple depending on where the people are sitting. But then SAC could take the same logic similar to the product ID, where they say, okay, I have this department with this asset ID, but it should, of course, be only for those assets who don't have product IDs. Otherwise, you get into a.
Yes, I would say
right.
There's really two options. There's three options. Option one is have or try to ask Product Portal to pass through all the information that AGA is mapping in Platform McKinsey between the asset ID and all of their underlying cost centers.
Right.
Into the SQL query and data flow that Sahil and team are ingesting.
Yeah.
That would be the simplest thing. I suspect they're going to say no, or there's some sort of like limitation with it, but if they say yes,
right.
If they don't,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, Elizabeth, go ahead.
No, just one question. Who is the Andre? Because Andre is overseeing only my product portal, right?
Yes.
Who is the Andre of Platform McKinsey?
Ashish.
That would be Ashish Jagini.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the limitation to what you said, Morgan, is that actually, in my opinion, more on the platform side than on the my product portal side. Why? Because on Platform McKinsey, when you have that dashboard with the structure of cell, asset, right, that serves the purpose of, or is used by the form, the registration form for the marketplace. So if we start adding things that do not serve as a proper asset, right? I want to call that other and have a generated asset ID for that.
Sorry, where are you? Where's that? I don't think anybody's saying that. What do you mean? Like to make another dummy asset? What do you mean?
So if you want to include other departments outside of assets in
No,
that was not the intention.
No,
because that's what I understood.
No,
Aga, on the page we are essentially just solving for the point A here, right? We basically said that this we tackle in SAC and this we tackle in SAC. So we're referring to the other ones which are in point C, so not in context of discussion right now.
Oh, okay. I got lost, maybe.
All good. So So just continuing the thought, if we can pass through, because, okay, right now there are cost centers that Aga maps to an asset ID that when that flows into product portal for the PM to select, they may not actually attach that cost center to any product ID, right? And so those cost centers are therefore missing in the product ID level information that is sent to SAC and Sahil and team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way to solve that gap is either get MPP to pass it through, one. If they say no or can't for some reason, then we have two other choices. Both of which I think require bigger discussion, maybe potentially with Ashish Dagini from the platform side. If we send something from platform side into Sahil and team as another input to their reporting, they may not want to do that. That would be work on Sahil, but that's sort of the next incremental level of work, I think. And then the third most difficult level of work is to change where all of this is happening and say it should all be owned and happen in SAC directly without any of the need to ingest. But I think we're saying that that's just not feasible given the current climate, which is okay.
Yeah, right. Also, Morgan,
Right?
right, Morgan. Morgan, thanks for sharing those options, right? So I think, the third one isn't how finance systems are designed. So that isn't on the table. But also in the option two, right, it's a very similar challenge to what we have currently. So currently we have two systems, my product portal platform, they have different information, like in terms of some things they don't exist in MPP. Same way when we bring two information in SAC from two different sources, then SAC needs to really combine those information into then really able to create a single table, which is also gonna be a challenge for the tech team. It will, as you also mentioned, that will require a large build as well for both the sides, for platform as well as SAC. But if we are able to really land on the option one, like a pass-through of information, that is cleanest. It requires some changes on the MPP side to be able to pass through, but absolutely no change on the SAC side, and they can just use the existing code that we guys created.
Right.
Marvin, to understand it a bit more on the pass-through, you have known MPP better, right? Like, any thoughts in terms of what that would look like or what we should try to solve for? Like, is it something like wherein you don't link the systems together? It's like we have a fixed Excel with department, asset name, ID, lifecycle archetype, like these 5 fields only, and have that as a offline list, upload it into product portal, and then just pass it through.
I don't think we need. So platform is already passing to product portal every asset ID and every cost center associated with that asset ID as mapped by Aga. So they're already ingesting that. And then some of that is attached to product ID, and that's what they're sending. So I don't think we need to do a separate Excel. We might end up wanting to do 2 queries for Sahil and team, one saying select all product IDs, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And have that, because that'll be at a different level of granularity versus the, hey, select all cost centers that blah, 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 right? But we will have to map out what exactly the simplest thing is for Sahil and team to ingest. Because that was, to be honest, that was like pulling teeth even the first time to get them to ingest the query in the first place. So now if we want to expand it or change it, I think they're going to be like, oh my God. Even if we try to spoon feed it to them as much as possible. But I think to further the conversation, it sounds like we should have a call with probably an exploratory call with Andre first, since he's closest to all of the work we've done on this until this point. But we may need to get additional buy-in from Andre's leadership on the tech ecosystem side to get him to prioritize this. So we can ask him essentially to speak to some of that on his side, what directions he's being pulled in. And that will solve the downstream stuff. It doesn't solve the upstream point that Aga made in the beginning, which I want to highlight again, which is when someone creates an asset cost center and that gets made, right now there's no way for Aga to know that that has occurred and then add that within platform as an option for that particular asset ID to select. Right? So that's a whole other upstream problem that is causing minor gaps, just in the case that Aga may not have been notified in the right, timely manner.
Right.
So that's a slightly separate problem, but it is one we should solve.
Yeah. But I think we have a relatively strict process on opening departments, and on asset departments there is an approval flow which is followed. And if we open an asset department, the necessity, the requirement is to have an asset ID associated with that. So that worked for the last few cost centers. So, but
yes,
we can review the process.
The creation requirement, yes, totally agree with you. I think the thing just to finally get that to Aga is the part that's missing. And so maybe it's the charge code creation team themselves, but when a new asset cost center is created, CC Aga on that quick note, right? And that will be the MVP
Yeah, we need
solve.
to check that.
That would be great.
Maybe just one quick thing, right? Since Aga also needs to drop. So, Mohan, just one thing from what you said, right? So, if Energy Solutions has 20 departments, only 2 of them have a product ID, 18 doesn't have product ID, it's just people, cost, whatever. So you are saying my product portal will have all the 20 departments stored somewhere. So we don't need to really feed that information. It's more about just sourcing it from MPP into SAC using another query. So we need agreement on Andre to prioritize that, build that flow, do that transfer, and Sahil being able to really ingest that.
Yes, that's my understanding, but yes, exactly. And then I think we need to test that with Andre and get his view on it. But yes, you're right.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
So let us set up one more session, hopefully this week itself, while we still have you, that you can help us land this
Happy
one.
to help, of course.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all. See ya.
Thank you.